Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Westchester Talk Radio, produced by Sharc Creative and made possible by our title sponsor, Entergy Indian Point Energy Center, supporting the community through April of 2021, and also our Sharc Cast sponsors, including Lapolis Electric, Don't Be Left in the Dark, Hightower Westchester, Fiduciary Wealth Advisors, and White Plains Hospital. Thank you, everyone on the front line. So today we're producing Isolation Therapy number 37 with Vinny Malvarosa from Yorktown, but he bleeds Portchester blue, father of three, and he's built a solid career as TIAA's director, marketing business management. Vinny, I've known you a long time. There's no secret here. You're one of my dear friends, and you've been through an awful lot. I know that one of your passions is to sing in a band, and you've always wanted to be famous. But man, is this what you had to do to get famous? Is to get
this
COVID?
Not the way
and,
I'd be being interviewed and getting famous and being in the paper. But it's been a very surreal few months.
Certainly not by any stretch. But Vin, for the listeners and those who don't know, you have battled COVID-19 and dealt with what was like a 15, 16-week ordeal, and you're still dealing with it, I'm sure. Why don't we just get into some of the details on what's life been like for you since March 11th? Just bring us down, the storyline here and
Sure.
Give us a little perspective.
Yeah. So I was not feeling well the weekend before. Like just kind of run down. I didn't have a fever, had a bit of a dry cough. Talked to my doctor on Monday, and he said, if you don't have a fever, don't worry about it. And then Tuesday night, I was burning up. And Wednesday morning, I woke up and fever had kind of broken, but I called my doctor, and he said, I'm not seeing patients, but you should go to the emergency room at Northern Westchester. I'll call them. So in my mind, I was going to go there, get some antibiotics, and come home and be maybe gone a couple hours. My wife wasn't feeling well at the time, and I was like, don't worry about it. I'll drive myself. That's how I felt. I wasn't really very run down. Drove myself to the emergency room, and so I left my house. It was winter. Everything was open. It was a different time. And I got there. They said I had pneumonia in both lungs, and then I tested positive for COVID. So they admitted me, maybe a day, I don't know. And this is where, from that point forward, things are a little sketchy. I don't have a good timeline. But at some point, I remember talking to Dr. Schumacher, who's the head of the ICU at Northern Westchester and the man who saved my life. And he talked about intubation. And that was one of my great fears in life, is to be intubated. So I was a little weirded out by it, but I put myself in their hands, and at some point in that next 24 hours, I was intubated. I don't remember them coming in and telling me, or I sent a lot of text messages to friends and family.
And then it just stopped.
Right. I just kind of said, I sent my brother-in-law a text message, and my brother saying, I'm about to be intubated. Please, take care of my family. I was sending my wife, Sally, our life insurance guy's info, passwords to the bank, which I think kind of, probably scared her a little bit, but I didn't know what was to come. And, flash forward to the middle of April, and I kind of came to. Again, don't remember a point where I was awake and talking, or just it kind of just was like a rolling thing. And by April 24th, I remember talking to Dr. Schumacher again after that, and him saying, you got a bit of a road ahead of you for rehab. The best place for you to go to is Gaylord Rehab Center in Wallingford, Connecticut. I had been aware of it through a family member who had been there. So I had been to the facility once before, and I knew their reputation. So I was like, okay, whatever. At that point, I couldn't move. I could barely lift my hand to scratch my nose. So I needed some type of, physical rehabilitation. And I really didn't understand what had happened. honestly. Even though I knew it was April, I knew I got there March 11th. It still didn't really hit me how long I'd been out for. So April 24th, they had this big old ceremony at Northern Westchester. I was their first COVID patient. They were so excited. The physician's assistant who had admitted me, when she saw me awake, she started to cry. I mean, it was very emotional for them. It was emotional for me. A bunch of my family came just to see me come out of the front doors of the hospital and get put in an ambulance. It was really great. My son Nico was there, just, tears.
Vin, yeah, I mean, look, you froze up there for a second, but the clearly there's been a whole story built around this, right? The media, and I saw some of the clips on Channel 7 and some other local networks. What would be the most surprising thing that you discovered throughout this whole process?
It's amazing what you can put up with. If you told me this would be my life for the next 104 days, I'd have been like, you're crazy. I can't do all that. And yet, here I am. I wound up going to Gaylord. A couple weeks in, I got an infection. I had to be transferred to a hospital to be treated for the infection for 8 days. And, coming back to May 22nd, I walked 20 feet. And to do that, I had a respiratory person, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, and a nurse surrounding me to do that. I had to be taken out of bed in a harness because I couldn't sit up and get myself out of bed. All these things started just to become commonplace for me. And it's just amazing what you can put up with and what you can battle through. I didn't have any, it's not like I had spent a total of 2 days in a hospital in my entire life up until this point. And then I spent 104 days between the hospital and the rehab and all that. And, family can't come visit you. It's kind of isolating. And I remember at some point I started talking to my nurses and anybody who'd come in my room and asking them about their life, just to kind of make a connection and just have a conversation that wasn't centered around, if I had to go to the bathroom or what I was going to have for lunch or anything, just sort of life in general.
Vinny, here you are talking about isolation, and this series that we created called Isolation Therapy has been mostly about putting a spotlight on the business community and how people have had to take charge with respect to their businesses and transitioning. And of all people, of all things, isolation and therapy, you, Vinny, have experienced those things more than anybody that I can think of. And, I'm just so proud to see you here today and to be able to see you respond the way that you are. I mean, look, this is personal for me and for people who we know clearly. And it was tough. It was tough to, to hear how close you were to some real dark moments there. I mean, I could recall a moment in talking, with your wife at one point where she was told that she had to prepare for the worst.
They told her I wasn't going to make it at one point. Somebody called her and told her that she should come to the hospital because I probably wasn't going to make it. And, she refused to accept it. And, she called the doctor, she went and, came and saw me with my daughter. And, but she never really accepted the fact that that could actually happen. Call it denial or call it just strong-willed. But I think all of that, contributed in a way. My mother, my 90-year-old mother, who we tried to keep things from, figured it out. And she told me that one night, right when I woke up, that she was sitting in her house, crying in the middle of the night and yelling out for me to wake up. And part of me feels like that kind of brought me out of it,
Hey, look, think what you want, think what you need. There are powers that be. There are,
Yeah.
people rooting for you, people pulling for you. I'm sure that I know you had mentioned to me that felt good to know that there were
Oh my
lots
gosh.
of
Yeah.
people sending you good
It
wishes,
was
and it
unbelievable
all
the amount
helps.
of people who reached out, and reached out to Sally, reached out to me, directly. And it was each individual one of those things meant something. And it kind of carried me forward. Um, it's it's funny. I was joking the other day. It was kind of like I got to go to my own funeral just to see the outpouring of love in a way, and it was astounding. It really, I don't know how, I just don't, but the day I came home, I just thought I was going home, and, that would be that. And when I got to the top of my street, my two kids were there at the top of the road, my son on his motorcycle, my other son in his car, and my cousin on his motorcycle. And they kind of created a little motorcade. And as we came down the street, every house on my block for 3/4 of a mile were standing on their front lawns with a sign welcoming me home. And all the way down the street, I was like hanging out the window, waving at everyone. And I was just overwhelmed by it. And then I got to my house, and there was maybe 50 people on my front lawn there to welcome me.
That had to be tremendously uplifting. And, believe it or not, Vinny, people do care.
Yeah.
People do
Yeah.
like you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They do like you.
So I and my friend Eric, who I've been in a band with now for almost 5 years, a really good guy. And he said something to me when he was leaving that day on, my front lawn. He said, thank you for letting me believe in miracles. And, he had tears in his eyes, and it was just one of those moments where, that's the kind of really, like, a lot of people were invested,
Well, I can tell you the people sitting behind me in this little screenshot are certainly vested and love you. And, there we were all together, by the way,
right.
For those who don't really know
the week before,
but the week before, high school buddies celebrating a birthday, and Vinny right in the middle of all of it. Several friends ended up positive with COVID, but Vinny, clearly you took the biggest hit. and I think coming out of this, you're going to help people with hope and the spirit that you have. And you've been through an awful lot, and you're still going through a lot. But again, I applaud you for all your efforts, and I applaud you for the strength that you've had to endure, and you're gonna take away a lot from this. And I think what we'll do on this isolation therapy episode 37 on Westchester Talk Radio, let's just leave our audience with what you're excited about, Vinny. What are you excited about going forward? What is this? How has this experience maybe molded you a little differently? And what are you going to take away and do as you move forward through the next months and years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I look forward to making music again. I love doing it. There's no live music right now. It's kind of, quiet. But even Dr. Schumacher, a couple of weeks ago, Sally and I went back to the hospital to visit and to thank everyone. It's pretty funny because so many people had stories about me. I didn't really remember them, but, it was great to hear the stories and see the room where I lay in a coma was very emotional. And Dr. Schumacher said to me, and I'll clean this up for the air, but he said, the next time you guys play somewhere in public, we're all coming to see you. We're all going to get super drunk and take Ubers home and just party like nobody's business.
Yeah, I'm sure that was
we can't wait. Yeah. It's and then my family, it's like we've rebooted ourselves. We're so much closer. My kids, that we reach out more, and I feel like it's something that will sustain itself in the coming years, because we really, we came very close to everything kind of going in a different direction, and it's not something I think any of us will forget anytime soon.
Well, clearly what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right, Vin?
For sure.
You are absolutely, right on target with that. And again, it's been, my pleasure having this discussion with you, but even more so, just to see you and to know that you're doing much better. And I speak for all of our friends and those who know you, and we're proud of you and we love you. We're so happy that you're on this planet still. The world is a much better place with Vinny Malvarosa in it. You've been listening to Westchester Talk Radio, produced by Sharc Creative and made possible by Entergy, Indian Point Energy Center, and a host of our other Sharccast sponsors. We want to thank you for that. Vinny, thank you for being a part of this therapy series, and we'll certainly be in touch. And for those of you listening, please subscribe to the Sharc Creative YouTube channel and share this story of just, tremendous desire and the will to live and all the good things that come from Vinny's experience.
And if I could say one last thing, it would be, please, please, please wear a mask when you're out in public. Socially distance where you can. This is very real and it's very preventable. You just got to do some simple things to make it work. And if you don't think it's real, give me a call and I'll give you the rundown. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the rundown, and hopefully people will learn from this experience, and it is real, and you've made it through. Yeah. And you're lucky.
Yes.
And, we're certainly glad about that. All right, Vinny Malvarosa. Take it easy. Take care.